All right, welcome. Today, we are going to dive into a topic that sounds super complex, but is actually woven into, well, pretty much everything in our global economy. We're talking about derivatives. Now, they have this reputation for being complicated and, yeah, risky. And they definitely can be. But you know what? They were invented to solve a very simple, very human problem: the fear of not knowing what's coming next.
I mean, really think about it. Have you ever been at the gas station, filling up your car, and just wished you could lock in that price for the rest of the year? Or maybe you're a coffee fiend who sees the price of your favorite beans slowly creeping up, and you're thinking, man, I wish I could guarantee today's price for my coffee supply next month. This kind of uncertainty isn't just a little annoyance for us. For businesses, it's a massive, massive risk.
And that really brings us to the core reason these things even exist. In finance, in business, in life, the price of almost everything is always moving. I'm talking about the cost of wheat for a baker, the value of that tech stock in your retirement fund. Prices are always fluctuating.
So all this constant movement creates one huge problem: uncertainty. And uncertainty? Well, it's the absolute enemy of planning. How is a farmer supposed to plan for the entire year if they have no idea what price they're going to get for their crops? How can an airline possibly budget for fuel costs? This is the fundamental puzzle that just had to be solved.
Now, you might be thinking the solution must involve, I don't know, supercomputers and some crazy complex algorithms. And yeah, today it does. But the basic idea, it's actually ancient. The tool that was designed to fight future uncertainty has been around for centuries.
And that tool is called a derivative. So what on earth is it? The name actually gives us a huge clue. A derivative is just a financial contract whose value is, well, derived from something else. That something else is called the underlying asset. And that asset could be anything: gold, oil, a company's stock, even the weather. The contract itself is really just a piece of paper. Its real value comes from whatever it's linked to.
And this idea is so far from new, it's not even funny. People have been doing versions of this for centuries. We're talking monks in the 12th century selling their wool harvests years ahead of time, or Japanese merchants in the 1600s trading rice futures to protect themselves from a bad harvest. This isn't some modern Wall Street invention. It's a timeless human reaction to trying to manage risk.
Okay, so how do they actually work in the modern world? Well, they generally fall into two big categories, and the difference between them is absolutely crucial. It all boils down to obligations versus options.
So let's start with the original concept. Imagine you and a goldsmith agree on a price for gold to be delivered 1 month from today. The key word here is obligation. In 1 month, you must buy it, and they must sell it at that price you agreed on, no matter what. So where's the risk? Well, what if the price of gold completely plummets? You're still stuck paying that higher price. Ouch. Or even worse, what if the price skyrockets? The goldsmith might just disappear and refuse to sell it to you. That right there is called counterparty risk.
This really risky, private way of doing things, called forwards, eventually evolved into what we now know as a futures contract. And futures basically solved all those problems by being standardized and traded on a public exchange. The exchange itself acts like a referee, a middleman, guaranteeing the trade. This pretty much eliminates that counterparty risk and creates a transparent market where it's easy for anyone to get in or out of a contract.
So that's a future. It's an obligation. You have to do it. But what about that other type? An option. An option gives you the right but not the obligation to buy or sell something at a set price. Here's the best way to think about it. A future is like pre-ordering that new phone. You've committed. You have to buy it when it comes out. An option, on the other hand, is like buying insurance. You pay a little bit of money up front, that's called a premium, and if something bad happens, like the price of your asset crashes, you have the option to use your insurance. If everything's fine, you just lose that small fee you paid. It's a choice, not a command.
Okay, so we've got these powerful tools, but who in the world is actually using them, and why? Well, the market really works because you have 3 totally different types of players, and each one has a very different goal in mind.
First up, you've got your hedgers. These are the risk-averse folks. Your farmers, your airlines, your big corporations. They're using derivatives like insurance, just trying to protect themselves from wild price swings. Then you've got the speculators. These are the risk takers. They're betting on which way the price is going to go. Now, it's easy to just call them gamblers, but they have a super important job. They take on the risk that the hedgers are trying to get rid of. Without them, there'd be nobody for the farmer to sell their contract to. And finally, you have the arbitrageurs. Think of them as the market police. They make money off tiny little price differences. And by doing that, they keep the whole system efficient and fair.
Now, this might all seem like some abstract financial gobbledygook, but the moves these players are making actually have a direct impact on the world around us, from those old-timey commodity markets all the way to the phone in your hand.
So why should you care about any of this? Well, when an airline hedges its fuel costs, it means they can offer more stable ticket prices instead of jacking them up and down every single day. When a big food company hedges the price of wheat, it helps keep the price of bread on your grocery store shelf predictable. These tools, when they're used for hedging, they create a much more stable and predictable economy for all of us.
But, and this is a really, really important but, we can't talk about derivatives without looking at their other side. Because of the incredible leverage they offer, they are an immensely powerful tool, and that means they can also be incredibly dangerous.
Let's just ground this in reality for a second with a pretty sobering statistic. A study from the Securities and Exchange Board of India found that in the 2022 fiscal year, 9 out of 10 individual traders in futures and options lost money. Let that just sink in for a moment. 9 out of 10. While these are absolutely essential tools for the big players hedging risk in the economy, for the average person trying to speculate, they are extremely high risk.
Which really leaves us with this one big question to think about. Are these things a tool for creating economic stability, or are they just a license for some really high-stakes gambling? And the truth is, of course, they're both. They are a powerful double-edged sword. They're essential for keeping our economy stable, but they're also capable of creating enormous risk. And understanding that duality, that's really the key to understanding modern finance. Thanks for tuning in.